right. We're back with you. Glad to be here. You're listening to America's Voice now. A couple of things I want to run over before we wrap this program and get into this this topic of the IRS chief. He's their chief lawyer, and he went before a hearing committee the other day, and 80 times he said, "I don't recall." He's the chief law enforcement officer, the chief lawyer for the IRS. And 80 times he said, "I don't recall." I got to tell you, there's no way you can convince me that that's not willful avoidance. It's true. A couple of things I want to remind you about, and then we'll get into this. One, we're on a campaign. If you listen to us on our new Spreaker podcasting app, if we have 100 people who follow us on that, we need 100 in order to apply for iHeartRadio. And when we apply for iHeartRadio, it will give us an opportunity to be broadcast to a much broader and larger audience. iHeartRadio is very popular. They have their own iPhone and Android apps and so forth and so on. And we'll pick up a brand new audience. So we need you to assist us with that. I'm asking you to go to Spreaker.com/America's Voice now and hit the follow button. And it's Spreaker like a speaker with an R. So it's SPREAKER. Sierra Papa Romeo, right? Go to Spreaker.com/America's Voice now. And when you do that, you're going to see our player up there. Right below the picture of me on a microphone, you'll see a button that says follow. When you click that, you can log in with your Facebook account, a Google account, and a couple of other ways, Twitter account, I think. But if you don't have any of those accounts, you can still just log in with your email. Just, put in a username and an email and create an account there. And hit the follow button. One, you'll get an email every day when we post one so that you don't have to go hunting around for it. But more importantly, once we get to 100 users, we can apply for iHeartRadio. And then it will be hosted on the iHeartRadio platform, and we'll be able to dramatically expand our listenership. And if you like what I do here, I need your help. So please help us expand ourselves into a new audience, new area, new listenership. The second issue is we're working on this U.S. Park Service land grab problem. And December 10th, today is the 5th, right? So December 10th, there's going to be the hearing at the Van Buren Youth and Community Center. That's at the intersection of Highway 60 and D Highway. That's going to be at 6 to 9 p.m. There's another one on December 11th, the following morning, at 10 a.m. to noon at the Salem City Hall. Then there's a third one on December 11th, that same night, but in Kirkwood, Missouri. And the reason that the Department of National Park Service is holding it in Kirkwood is because this entire thing about them being able to take control of these Ozark National Scenic Riverways in their new 20-year plan, it's being promoted and pushed very heavily from behind by the Sierra Club. And that, Kirkwood, Missouri, is where the Sierra Club is based. Oh, gee whiz, what a coinkydink. I'd have never thunk. So what they're trying to do is they're going to use the Delphi technique on us. What the Delphi technique does is it uses the system, and I've got whole stories about it. I've done whole shows about it. Go look it up. It's called the Delphi technique. If you want more information, email me at mike@americasvoicenow.org, and I will reply to you with 3 Word documents. I'll put them in PDF form for you that will explain to you what it is and how you can help defend yourself against it and fight back against the Delphi technique. This is when you go to a hearing or a public meeting, and they outline their plan, and then they break you up into groups, and they have everybody fill out little forms. And then they get all these forms back, and they say, well, the consensus of the group is we're all doing the right thing. And you're like, no, that wasn't my consensus at all. But you're sitting there thinking that, maybe you're the lone guy on the outside, and you really are not in sync with the rest of the group. The truth is, It's a game, and it's played on Americans every day, whether you go to a school board meeting or if you're involved in the Common Core fight. It depends on whether you are any time you go to a government meeting and they're trying to propose some new thing that's going to steal your rights or steal your property or your money or your taxes or whatever, this is what they use. It's called the Delphi technique. And if you're not aware of it, you really, truly need to be. They're going to use it there, and then they're going to say, well, the consensus of everybody who was attending in the meeting says that we should apply the most onerous restrictions on the national scenic riverways that we can. And so that's what we're going to do. And see, the public approves. Really, it's the Sierra Club. They want to eliminate 65 miles of horse trails, eliminate unauthorized river crossings, require permits if you want a horseback ride. Hey, come on, man. They have their own herd of wild horses up there in the scenic riverways area. It's a herd of wild horses in Missouri. Most people don't realize that. And a lot of people don't realize is that some fairly wealthy people have bequeathed money to keep those horses maintained. Those horses eat better than you do. But you're going to have to get a permit if you want to ride a horse of yours in the same place that these wild horses run all day long. It eliminates all ATVs, outboards, UTVs, and four-wheelers. Eliminates motor vehicle access. They're going to shut whole roads down. They want to pass regulations that will reduce motorboat horsepower on the river in some places and completely eliminate it in about half. And they say it's based on empirical scientific evidence. Well, they won't show it to us. We have to guess what it is. And it's never been peer-reviewed, and we're just supposed to take their word for it. This is more of the same nonsense with you got the EPA who is sitting out there saying, well, we have all this empirical evidence that says all water is connected ultimately to major navigable rivers, so therefore we should control all water. But when you ask them for the evidence, they say, well, we can't show it to you. What? How did the backyard creek become national security secrets? Why is everything lately a secret? Have you noticed? Well, it sure is for William Wilkins. He's the IRS Chief Counsel. He can't recall any secrets. 80 times, he says. Anyway, what we want you to do is on December 10th and 11th, we want you to attend these hearings. And the way that you can contact somebody to find out where you can carpool with somebody else, we're organizing carpools, and if not, we can give you directions and more information. There's a couple of people you can call. You can call Mike Slack at 417-264-2435. Or you can call Don Eagleman. Don is at 417-372-7112. Or you can email me at mike@americasvoicenow.org, and I'll give you this information. You guys should be writing this stuff down. When you listen to America's Voice Now, please keep a pen and paper handy, because we give out information and phone numbers and web addresses and email addresses and telephone numbers all the time. So it's Mike Slack at 417-264-2435 and Don Eagleman at 417-372-7112. The groups that are organizing this are the Property Rights Coalition's groups, and you can find a lot of information out about them by going to prcnews.org. That's prcnews.org. The PRC stands for Property Rights Coalition. They're a common sense property rights coalition, and basically these people are the ones who have been keeping the federal government off your back, and you didn't even know it. There are chapters all over the place. I'm a member of a bunch of them, or at least I go to different ones and I speak at them, and I, listen to them, to what the other speakers that are there. And, you got to be proactive, folks, and you got to be involved. So go to their website, which is prcnews.org. Now, Doreen Hanna, she's a friend of mine. She joins us frequently on the radio. She runs one of these groups, and she also has her own website, which talks about a lot of things that are tied to this, and you can find out that information by going to truthfarmer.com. Truthfarmer.com. She talks about not only that, but all kinds of health issues and GMOs and stuff like that. And Doreen is brilliant, and I mean that I mean that in all seriousness. She knows and has forgotten more about all the stuff that's going on in these regulations, and man, she can quote regulations right out of the EPA's rule book. better than the people who work at the EPA. So I encourage you to participate with us. Help us fight. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to go on the offensive here. We're going to the National Park Service and we're saying, you know what? We no longer want you to control our rivers. In fact, just give them back to us and we'll take care of them ourselves. So we are actually, and we've got our state Congress people, our state senators, and our federal congressperson, Jason Smith, in the 8th District, to approach them and say, we're not happy with not only that you want to run this, but we want the whole mess back. Just give it back to us. The state of Missouri's Conservation Department will control it, and you can all take your stuff and go back to D.C. Get out of here. So, you know what, America? That's a plan of action that a lot of places should be following, including you in your place, wherever you are. I mean, I know that there's folks that monitor and track this show, and they listen from all over the place. I know there's people that log on here from Maine and from Chicago area, from Florida, from California, Washington State, Colorado, Texas, all over the place. You've got state property that's in federal hands right now, and you should be working with us to basically create an assault on federal ownership of state property. Take it back. It's not theirs in the first place. You don't need them to run it, because once they have control of it, they tell you what to do. Why give them a foothold on your land? Just take it back and tell them to go jump in a lake. So we want you to participate. I'm going to give you those phone numbers one more time. It's Mike Slack at 417-264-2435. 417-264-2435. Or Don Eagleman. And Don is at 417-372-7112. It's 417-372-7112. If you're outside of this area and you can't participate but you'd like to learn more, call Mike or Don and ask them for information on how you can start doing this in your hometown. Let's take the offensive and take it to them. Let's take the fight to them. Let's go pick a fight. All right. The other thing I just want to bring to your attention is there is the Battery Station's annual troop drive. We need some help and support for this. The Battery Station is one of our sponsors. They're friends of ours. They're located at 303 Washington Avenue in West Plains. They have a phone number, 417-257-7799. And every year they do this drive for donations for one group in Afghanistan. And this year it's the 1-8 Cav stationed in I'm not quite sure where in Afghanistan, but I know they're there. And it's D Company, the 1-8 Cav. And basically what they do is they give these guys all kinds of things like batteries and flashlights, and they give them baby wipes and bar soap and stuff like that. These guys haven't taken showers in weeks. They're living out in the bush. And so they're asking for food and non-food items. And if you cannot send something like that, then you can call up and just simply offer a cash donation so that they can help pay for the cost of shipping all this stuff. Battery Station's been doing this. I think this is their 7th or 8th year, if I'm not mistaken, doing this. And I got to applaud them because they spend thousands of dollars of their money every year to do this program. And it really is something worthwhile for our troops over there. So and by the way, if you're going to send products, no scented stuff, no perfume stuff. If you're going to send baby wipes, they got to be unscented. No scented bars of soap, no deodorants with scent. It's all unscented. Remember, they're in the bush and they're fighting a war. They don't want cologne and perfume, guys. They need food items that can store, snacks and candies and stuff like that. So anyway, I want you to contact. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can go to thebatterystation.com. Batterystation.com. You can email Kevin for more information at troops@batterystation.com. Troops@batterystation.com. Or you can call him at 417-257-7799. That's 417-257-7799. While you're on there, by the way, Battery Station is they sell all kinds of stuff, not just batteries and flashlights and every kind of gadget you can imagine, but also they've got ammunition. Some of it very hard to find. They've got all kinds of tactical gear and sleeping bags and vests and all kinds of stuff. I mean, the camping gear and all kinds of stuff. Make sure you get onto their website, batterystation.com, or call them and make a cash donation or send some goods that they can stuff these boxes with. Again, it's 417-257-7799. Okay, this last topic is one which I'm pretty unhappy about. It's William Wilkins, the IRS Chief Counsel. He was testifying about the IRS's targeting of Tea Party groups and how abusive they've been. And what really kills me about this is this guy literally came out and 80 times during his questioning under oath said, "I do not recall. I don't know." Now, the two guys who were running this, Darrell Issa and Ohio Representative Jim Jordan, they sent him a letter. And they're calling him to task on it. They're saying, in your testimony, you stated, "I don't recall," a staggering 80 times in full or partial response to the committee's questions. Your failure to recollect important aspects of the committee's investigation suggests either a deliberate attempt to obfuscate your involvement in this matter or gross incompetence on your part. Kai, I'll be off in about 10 minutes. That's my boy. And basically what he's saying here is that these guys are completely and totally avoiding testifying legally and correctly about what's going on here with the IRS. And this guy is their chief counsel. I mean, he's the guy who's supposed to not tell their people, listen, you can't lie to a congressional hearing. They are stalling and trying to block and trying to injure the investigation. And that is criminal. It's not even criminal malfeasance now, because malfeasance is a willful attempt to do something unethical or dirty or immoral. But this is, and malfeasance can also be a mistake, but a sloppy, careless, reckless mistake. This isn't no mistake. This is an actual willful attempt to subvert and destroy the opportunity for them to be held accountable at the IRS. This administration, like many administrations prior to it, is using the IRS as a weapon against the American people. They are using it as a methodology of getting to people who are on an enemies list. The number of people that have been audited by the IRS that are on the conservative side of the fence and, were interviewed or did, some kind of a story was done about them, that's a staggering number. And the truth of the matter is, that kind of action by your government puts you in a class that is completely unacceptable. They are going to war against Americans. It's just a soft war at this point, folks. This is tyranny. It is nothing less than tyranny. Open, blatant, abusive, domination, police state tactics tyranny, done by dictators the world over. And your government is actually doing this and then covering it up. And a guy like William Wilkins, who's the IRS chief counsel, he knows better. He's a lawyer. For them to go to do this kind of action is so lawless, so outside of their constitutional purview. It just adds one more stick to a raging fire of lawlessness, a bonfire of it. It's not only here in these hearings to find out what the IRS was doing. They're stalling the hearing, and the FBI is now stalling the hearings on Benghazi. They refuse to give up the information from the FBI. If Congress can't actually hold these agencies accountable, then they cannot exist. They can't. You cannot have an organization that says it represents the government but can't be held accountable by anybody. I mean, what do we got, 100 rogue pirate agencies out there that pretty much do whatever they want? How is that a government? It's not a government. You know what that is? Warring gangland families. You don't step on my turf, I won't step on yours. That's what it is. And it's criminal. It is criminal to the point where if we cannot gain control of this somehow, some way, that we are placing ourselves in a position where we're agreeing because of our silence. We're admitting that it's okay for them to continue to abuse us because we're silent about it. And in the eyes of the law, silence is acquiescence and agreement. Wilkins will tell you that. Now, what he lied the most about was his, and when it came to them questioning him about his communications and his discussions with Treasury Department officials, suddenly the guy couldn't remember his own name. They asked him, did you have discussions with Treasury Department officials on applications for Tea Party groups with anybody at the Treasury Department? I don't recall. They asked whether he discussed the Treasury Department officials' regulatory guidance for 501c4 tax-exempt entities engaged in political activities. I don't recall. They asked him whether he discussed with them the Inspector General's report that blew the lid off the targeting scandal back in mid-May. I don't recall. He said he wasn't aware of Lois Lerner and her senior advisors. And when they started to dig a little deeper, I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't remember. I don't recall. I don't recall. 80 times, ladies and gentlemen. He met with President Obama 2 days before the guidance was finalized, and this was with Lerner about how they were going to handle these Tea Party 501c4 applications. And when he was asked what he talked to the president about, I don't recall. That's inexcusable. It's beyond inexcusable. It's cause for criminal charges, prosecution. He should be removed. And have you noticed that nobody ever gets fired from this administration? I mean, they get shuffled around a little bit. It's kind of like, moving the cards around on the deck. But nobody ever gets fired. Once in a while, somebody who's really, really done something egregious resigns. With full pension, I might add, like Lois Lerner. Full pension. And they've never dragged her back in to force her to testify under oath. I don't know why. And here's the problem. Congress can hold these hearings all they want, but it's theater, and they know it. You know why? Because they don't have the legal authority to prosecute this piece of garbage. They don't have the legal authority. Only a special prosecutor can do that. And here's where the final knife in the ribs comes. The only organization that can appoint a special counsel is the Department of Justice under Eric Holder. So Eric Holder would have to appoint a special prosecutor to prosecute the IRS. You think that's going to happen? I didn't think so. We live in such a lawless scenario right now, folks. I can't tell you, I can't stress strongly enough how important it is that you be active and participating in any way that you can. Civil disobedience in everything. Don't opt into Obamacare. Refuse to do anything everywhere. Stay out. Ignore and remain contact-free of all of this stuff. Do your part. Chip away at it a little bit at a time. That's how they've been stealing our stuff for the last 100 years. All right, you've been listening to America's Voice Now. I thank you for joining with us today. You can find us now on KUNQ 99.3 FM, Big Country Rooster Radio, from midnight to 2, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. You can also find us on our website at americasvoicenow.org. You can find us on facebook.com/America's Voice Now. You can find us on youtube.com/America's Voice Now. And you can go to Spreaker.com/America's Voice Now and get our podcasts. Please follow us on Spreaker so when we get to 100 followers, we'll be on iHeartRadio. Thanks so much. Have yourselves a great day. God bless you.